Isabel watched Jesse empty the gas can into his truck, then screw the cap back on and toss the canister into the camper. They found Vernon on the steps. He glanced at Isabel, his eyes going right to her cap. He let out a chuckle. Why, that is just adorable. I do hope you brought Makwa one. Jesse started past. Vernon put out his arm. Hold up. I wouldn't go in there if I were you. I wouldn't go in there just now if I were you. Why? Isabel asked. What happened? Nothing. Old Tall and Ugly is just in one of his moods, that's all. Jesse pushed Vernon's arm aside and headed in. Isabel followed. They found Krampus sitting cross-legged in front of the stove, his eyes closed, his face in deep in conversation. Oh my gosh. Isabel followed, and they found Krampus sitting cross-legged in front of the stove, his eyes closed, his face deep in concentration, the sack before him, an assortment of arrows, gold, and bronze, all looking ancient, strewn about his feet. The Shawnee sat away from him, watching him, looking nervous. Whippy glanced over at them and gave a warning shake of his head. Now's not a good time, Isabel whispered. Jesse ignored her, started forward. Isabel grabbed his arm. Wait. Jesse shrugged her off, kept walking. Krampus? Krampus's brow tightened, but he didn't look up. Jesse walked right up to the Yule Lord. Krampus, we need to talk. Gently, Isabel could see the rising frustration in the Yule Lord's face, knew what that could mean. She rushed to Jesse, put a restraining hand on his chest. Jesse, she said in a low, harsh voice, you gotta wait. Krampus inserted his arm deep into the sack and appeared to be searching. This went on for several minutes. Isabel could feel the tension rising in Jesse with each passing second. Krampus, Jesse said, raising his voice, it's urgent. Krampus jerked his arm out, opened his eyes, stared at his empty hand, and let out a howl. Damn, Odin, he hissed. Damn the Valkyries, where did they hide it? He locked eyes with Jesse and growled, you dare interrupt me? Jesse didn't back down a step. We need to go now. Get my daughter before it's too late. It'll wait, Krampus said, and waved him off. Isabel found herself surprised by his restraint, then saw his exhaustion. No, Jesse pressed. You don't understand. The general will... You are the one who does not understand. I must find Loki's arrow. Without it, there is no way to stop him. Balder will kill us all. Krampus, you have to... No, Krampus cried, climbing to his feet, his tail snapping back and forth. It is not your place to tell me what I must do. Isabel pulled Jesse back. Stop it, Jesse. Jesse jabbed a finger at Krampus. My little girl's in trouble, and I aim to do something about it. Tell you what, you just sit here then. Me? I'm gonna go take care of this mess. He yanked his arm free from Isabel and marched over to a cardboard box where the cash and guns sat. Krampus's face clenched into a knot. His nostrils flared. His breath came in short, hot bursts. Isabel knew what was next, watched helpless as his lips peeled back, revealing his long canines. His eyes flew open, red and glowing. She started to warn Jesse, but Krampus was on him in 3 quick strides. Jesse must have heard something, for he started to turn. As he did, Krampus grabbed him, one hand around his neck, the other holding the front of his jacket. Krampus lifted Jesse off his feet and slammed him into the wall. The entire structure shook. You will go nowhere unless I give you leave. Jesse gasped, forced the words out. Fuck you. I'm not one of your slaves. Jesse grabbed Krampus's wrist, tried to twist free. Krampus threw him to the floor. Hold him, Krampus commanded, and the Shawnee were on him, grabbing Jesse before he could get to his feet. Jesse flailed, landed a blow on the side of Makwa's face, and they had pinned him. Then they had him pinned. Krampus stomped over, towering over Jesse, a low growl coming from deep in his throat. Isabel knew Jesse had gone too far, knew Krampus would bite Jesse, would turn him. My patience is at an end, Krampus snapped. He squatted, grabbed Jesse's arm, held it taut. You leave me no choice. He grinned, once again, revealing his canines. No, Isabel shouted. Krampus, stop it. Krampus ignored her, opened his mouth to bite Jesse. Isabel rushed up, pushed herself between them. Krampus looked as though he might beat her to death with his bare fist. You made an oath, Isabel cried, a blood oath. Krampus shoved her away, sending her tumbling across the floor into one of the pews. Isabel rolled back to her feet and cried out, "Does the word of the Yule Lord mean nothing? Then how are you any different from Santa Claus?" Krampus leapt to his feet, glaring at Isabel, and she could see he weighed her death, could see it burning in his eyes. He lifted his face upward, toward the rafters, let out a howl, gritted his teeth, and just stood there with his eyes shut, his chest heavy, his chest heaving. Slowly, his breathing steadied, his shoulders slumped. "Isabel, my little lion, your heart is bold and your words are true." He set eyes on Jessie. "You should never, ever dare to challenge me again. I will kill you." His words held absolute finality. He let out a long breath. "I will honor my oath. Men will die, and die badly, but all in due time, for there are more pressing matters." He turned and staggered back to the stove, stared down at the velvet sack. Behind him, Krampus sat over his shoulder. "See to it he does not run off. I cannot risk him escaping. He's too unpredictable." Makwa yanked Jessie around, shoved him hard against the floor, and put a knee on his back. He gestured towards several curtain rods leaning in the corner. Whippy hopped up, slid out his knife, and cut the cords loose from the rods. Isabel intercepted him on his way back. "Give me those," she snatched. "Give me those." She snatched the cords away from Whippy. Whippy looked at Makwa and shrugged. Isabel came over to Makwa. "Stop being such a brute. Now get off him." Makwa scowled, said something in Shawnee, which Isabel knew to be unflattering, but he got off. "Put your wrists out." Jessie reluctantly did as he was told. Isabel bound his wrist gently but securely. Jessie wouldn't look at her, just glared at Krampus the whole time. Krampus took a seat next to the sack. He picked up one of the arrows, studied it. "Where are you hiding?"